Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, did you want to there? Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icelandair, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, did you wanna dance? Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm Gaarawarr. One day this show will happen without... No, it won't happen. I was going to say, one day it'll happen without me and it'll be real confusing, but no, probably not. Probably not. Gabe's with me today. Once again, GG. It's a GG stream. If it wasn't already with Gaarawarr's Guide, it's Gaarawarr and Gabe. Gabe's going to be producing the show and grabbing your questions from chat, which is important in the tutorial shows because I spend the first hour just talking, hour-ish talking on the topic. And if you have a question, don't hold it for later. Just, put question : in front of it like it shows down there. And then throw it into chat and Gabe will grab it and throw it in a little document here. And then when I get to the Q&A portion of the show in the second half, I will answer all the questions that came in that way. That's how this show works. What are we talking about today? Oh, that's right. Speed champions. We're gonna go real fast today, chat. Yeah, faster. That's our code. Well, faster is our code. We're going to talk about speed and speed effects. We'll talk about speed champions. We'll have a little special nod to a couple champions. We're going to talk about them first that aren't necessarily traditional speed champions, but can speed up important things for you. We've never talked about this. We've never done this before. And we'll also have a nod to the speed core as well. So we're going to do all that today. First off, though, I have to say, Skippy says in chat, this is awesome. I have Gaarawarr on my TV. Hey, Mom, I'm on TV. No, I'm on a TV, but, Hey, however you watch Twitch, chat, enjoy. However you watch Twitch, enjoy. So, where do I want to start? Let's start with this. As you can see, hopefully, there are speed champions in all but one slot in the game. 11's got nothing. 11's got nothing. Sorry, everybody in 11. You're too slow for this conversation. There are a couple slots that actually have 2 speed champions in them. I don't know. They run into placement problems sometimes, and eventually we'll get a slot 11 speed champion, I'm sure. Technically, I like I said, I'm including a couple champions today that I think do have speed effects, even if they don't have a speed tag, and one of them is sitting here in slot 9, and it's Nordom. Now I get it, Nordom doesn't have a speed tag. I would argue that if that he kind of does. Let's talk about Finn and Nordom. Let's throw Finn and Nordom out here. I'm just gonna get these out of the way first. These are not traditional speed champions. However, they speed up some very important things in the game. I don't know why my eyes are watering. I'm crying. I'm just so happy we're talking about speed champions. They speed up some very important things in the game. I want to be very clear today. We are going to speed up this conversation. We have a lot of champions to talk about. I'm not talking about all of their abilities. I'm only covering their speed effects today. Okay? If you want to learn what else they do, I've got other guides for that. So here's the thing. Fenn. Let's go ahead and get rid of this. This is not important. Her spec has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. Fenn is a wonderful champion that was added recently that has an ability over here called Patron's Oath. While Fenn is in the formation and you are in a patron variant or free play, patron challenge progress made by her party is increased. I have a feed in for this. Let's remove this feed so you can see the base value here. No, okay. Did it not? Oh, wrong feed. Gosh, Gaarawarr, come on. Get on it. Patron's Oath, it's 100%. So you would get double patron challenge progress. Well, what's patron challenge progress for those of you who haven't unlocked patrons? It's this stuff. It's your chores. It's doing your chores every week. Every patron has 10 chores that need to be done every week, and some of them are large numbers. 5,000 kills or 1,000 areas completed or whatever. Well, if you put Fenn in, just baseline, level her up past level 60, she gives you double credit. So it's going to take you half as long, right? And if you throw this feed in that I took out, and I took out the whole... What was the other one I took out? Oh, specializations, probably. There we go. Probably. If you put in the Patron's Oath, I don't trust this ability, it actually goes way up. It goes up to 4 times as fast. So it takes you a quarter of the time to do patron stuff. Folks, if that ain't a speed ability, I don't know. I mean, come on. Come on. If it's taking me a quarter of the time to complete something, that's a speed effect. Granted, it's not generally what we refer to as a speed effect. Generally, a speed effect is a non-damage ability that speeds up your progress through any given level. That's probably why Fenn doesn't have a speed roll. Because the speed roll, and it will usually show up here, because we can see on Xander, it does. I just use Xander as a speed example. It does say speed on Xander, right? It is a non-damage related ability that speeds up your progress through any given area. Okay, that's what we're talking about with speed. So, technically, Patron's Oath doesn't meet those qualifications, but when it comes to functionally completing major stuff in this game, patron challenges are kind of a big deal each week for a lot of people. 4 times as fast with someone that you only got to get to level 60. There's nothing else. There's no items that you need to... It's just a feat. If you get that feat, even double on its own is great. Okay? So, yeah. Fenn, in my opinion, more deserves the speed tag than some of the champions we're going to be talking about today. Welcome to Gaarawarr's Guide to Throwing Shade. Let's talk about the next champion up on the list also. It's Nordom, the backwards Modron. Nordom also has an ability that I think, if they're going to give some of these other champions the speed tag, could also qualify as a speed champion. But again, has nothing to do with speeding up your progress through an area. I get it. For once, they're trying to be consistent. Nordom has the effect a Modron Core Toolbox. Nordom increases the amount of experience gained on the Modron Core attached to his adventuring party when completing new areas. By an amount. I've got a lot of item levels in mine. So it's probably a lower amount. Don't look at these numbers down here. They need to change this. It's super confusing. So what Nordom does is normally when you're leveling up your Modron Core, every area that you complete, you get 1 XP for. With Nordom, you get 1 plus whatever his bonus is. So you can, Nordom has an item for that, so you can ramp up the amount of experience you're Nordoming, you're getting. There's also a feat for that, that's 80%. So you can get a lot more experience per level, and thus speed up your leveling of your Modron cores. Now, when you're new, I think it's good just to take the base effect. Don't worry about dumping a lot of item levels into Nordom. But later on, people will combine a high level Nordom with a bunch of these other speed champions that we're going to be talking about today, and level up a core from 1 to 15 in less than 30 minutes. Emote. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But good for them. Good for them. I mean, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. But yeah, so Nordom does have what I think is, again, along with Fen, an important speed effect in the game. Unfortunately, they don't have the speed tag, so get out. Get out. We're talking about champions with a speed tag. For the rest of the show, we're talking about champions with a speed tag. All right. So once again, so if we're talking about champions with a speed tag, there's 10 slots with champions with a speed tag in them. Okay. I saw this. I see you, Ricardoso, and I hear you. Let's talk about. Yes, let's talk about Ellywick. Ellywick, Ellywick is the queen of RNG in the game. She holds the deck of many things, and if you're a D&D player, you know what that means. Ellywick has the ability to get... It's completely random, so I don't know that... I don't know that she needs a speed tag, but I'm going to call this out just because I saw that, and it is true. There's a potential kind of card you can pull from the deck called Flames. It grants 1 flame stack when this card is drawn. All monsters move 100% faster for each Flames stack you have. Why is this a speed effect? It kind of is, but it's only if you get a lot of them. I mean, well, even 1 can give you a little, but the more you get, the better. It is not what I would consider a speed effect for, like, your early area progress, which is how most people want to use their speed effects. It's more of a deeper push speed effect, because what happens when you start pushing real deep is your ability to progress in a lot of cases, not all cases, but in a lot of cases, relies on a certain number of enemies getting to your formation and attacking your tank, and maybe even turning on their enrage mechanic, which says enemies powering up, which happens when you have 100 enemies on the screen. That can be a sort of speed effect, because what's happening is you're triggering that faster. Right? You're not having to wait around for 100 enemies to get all the way to... They're just flying towards you, and you can get through the level faster. I will give a nod as well to Ellywick. Most people hate the Flames card. And if they get a lot of Flames, they bench Ellywick. But there is an argument that it could be useful if you still have the power with Ellywick in, without getting a lot of her other things. But potential speed mechanic. But we're going to talk again. We're gonna go with the rest. Okay, so here we go. Let's just start off in slot 1. So everybody say hello to Deacon. Deacon's speed effect. Deacon is one of the champions that I refer to as kind of a good starter speed champion, because Deacon does not have an item that affects his speed mechanics. So that means you get Deacon speed just, hi, here, it's free, right? So here's what Deacon's speed is. It's confidence in the boss, but it's linked off his Story of Doom mechanic. So, Story of Doom gains a stack every 1.5 seconds to a max of 20, but every time you kill an enemy, it reduces the stacks. So it's something that builds up when you're not killing, right? So when you're killing everything quickly, confidence in the boss kicks in. When Deacon has fewer than 6 stacks of Story of Doom, the speed of enemies spawning is increased by an amount. Now, there is a feat for this. So you can boost this ability with a feat, but it can kick in just right off the bat at 100%. So it's going to double the speed of enemies spawning just in and of itself. Then once you get the feat, it'll come up to 140%. And then he does have what they're moving away from now. Shandy is changing this. He has Boss Wants Speed. It's a specialization choice that affects speed. Nowadays, whenever they go in and rework a champion, they are removing a specialization that is a speed effect and either moving it into their upgrades or putting it in a feat. So that it's just kind of optional and you're picking specializations that help you push and not just help you go fast. But this doubles the speed effect for Deacon. So when you are using Deacon for speed right now, the specialization is key. And that gets you up to 280%. So let's talk about, here's the thing with speed effects. There's a lot of different speed effects. They each affect the game in a slightly different way. When it says the speed of enemies spawning, what we're talking about specifically is the rate at which, if you can see on the right hand side of the screen, the rate at which they are flying out from the right-hand side of your client and getting to that point that we can see that's made up of all the gold and loot drops where they can actually be killed. And they're not, right now, I want to be clear, they're not being killed by Deacon. They're being killed by my familiar. But as you can see, things are moving much slower now, right? So they're just kind of slowly kind of trickling out. Just one at a time, and now it's going so slow that the loot pickup is actually keeping up roughly with the kills. This is the normal spawn rate for enemies. And there is a rule about spawn rates that I need to talk about here, because the way it works is normally is that if you're not killing something right away, like that's a wave of enemies spawning, then there's a delay to the next wave. You see that big long delay, right? And then there's a delay to the next wave. If you kill things immediately, it instantly if you kill one wave, it instantly triggers the next wave. Instantly. Notice there's no big delays in between the enemies spawning. So this is used to speed through levels early on. When we talk about gem farming, this is what speed champions kind of live for. This is their Olympics. Gem farming is the big deal. And gem farming works because when you instantly kill, you're combining your speed champions with instant click killing from familiars and leveling up your click damage down here on the left with their little Modron friend. That allows you to move through areas much quicker because you're not waiting for that delay in between wave spawns. So when we put Deacon in, you'll see this does speed up quite a bit. Look at him. Look at him fly out. Look at him fly out. Okay, so Deacon is truly, you can even visually see Deacon's speed effect. He's making enemies move quite a bit faster to that point. Now, if they don't die at that point, they get to that point, they hit the brakes, and then they move at normal speed because it's not speed. And that's why we're saying Ellywick's kind of the speed effect after that point. They slow down to normal speed, right? But they go super fast to the point where you can kill them instantly, right? This is one of the ways. Deacon is a great early speed champion because if you're just trying to get from level to level early on and you're killing everything with click damage, incredible. Deacon can give you a lot of speed. He's making things move a lot faster, right? Special nod to familiars. Familiars aren't a speed mechanic, but familiars have different effects when they're on the field. So you can hover, if you press F and hold it down on PC, you can see clicker slot. One of the things it tells you here is that if you have 3 out on the field, it picks up coins instantly. Coins and loot. So see how nice that is? Especially if you're trying to get in loot. Like this one was about imp horns. So picking them up instantly, kind of a speed effect, right? Having 3 on the field lets you pick up everything instantly and move to the next area. It's kind of a big deal for speed farming. Picking up, having 5 on the field, also then picks up boss bags instantly. So when you kill the boss, it drops that loot bag. It just picks it up right away. Whereas normally, when we get to a boss, you'll see there's kind of a delay. The boss bag sits there, then the boss bag opens, and you pick the things up, and then you move forward. With 5, you pick it up instantly. Okay, so familiars also do have a bit of a speed assistance. See, look at that boss bag sitting there forever. Now, if I'd had 5 on the field, it would have picked up instantly. We'll do that from now on. Okay, so Deacon. This is Deacon's only speed effect. He makes things run faster towards you to die. That's it. He's calling people to their death. We're going to take Deacon out because we want you to see the effect that Whittle has. Whittle also, Whittle doesn't have a specialization that affects Whittle's speed effect, so, you don't have to worry about that. Again, Whittle's kind of more the modern version of a speed champion. Whittle also, does the same thing Deacon does, but Whittle does it with some bonus effects. Whittle, where are we at? Right down here. Tasty Friends. Champions affected by Whittle's Vampiric Gaze, which is an adjacent... it's a buff to anyone adjacent to Whittle. Look extra tasty to the enemies. Each affected champion increases the monster spawn speed by 10%, stacking additively. Okay. Whittle does have feats for this. A pair of them. Here we go. 40, 80. I don't know why they're not next to each other. So you can boost this with feats. You can also, though, Whittle has an item for that. You can boost it with an item. So Whittle's kind of all in on this type of speed mechanic. And you boost it by the number of adjacent champions. So, this only having 1 or 2 is a pretty low boost. But if you could get Whittle surrounded by 6 champions, she's boosting that spawn speed mechanic by quite a lot. So as you see right now, Whittle doesn't necessarily look as fast as Deacon. It's because she's not adjacent to lots of champions, but that would help. That does, if we throw some people out here, you can see things get a little bit faster. I don't want to throw, here we'll throw Nahara out. I don't want to throw Deacon out for reasons. So Deacon and Whittle, I guess we should mention this. Deacon and Whittle do have the same speed effect. Yes, it does stack. Yes, it does stack. Okay, so here's with 6. Look how those enemies are just zooming to their death now. I've got the feats in, so and I've got a decent item levels on Whittle. Not a lot. 159, but it is shiny. That means it's boosted in power. It looks like they're just spawning and instantly dying to me. Pretty amazing. If we had Deacon, I don't even see really the spawn anymore. I just see them dying. Okay. Now I want to be clear though with Whittle and with this ability. This ability does like Whittle doesn't have a cap on her item, on her speed item yet. Hopefully one day they'll put one in. But there is a functional cap to this ability. Because it's literally speeding up the rate from which an enemy goes from the side of the screen to the point where it dies, the functional cap for a video game will always be 1 animation frame. Now that means that the speed could vary, like the cap could vary for a lot of reasons. Like, I mean, in settings, you can go in and change somewhere around here, like the frame rate, right? But different systems are going to handle it differently. So there's no way to tell you what boost level it is. So they just need to cap it so they're not trapping people. Eventually, if you put too many item levels in Whittle, it's just not going to do anything anymore. It's just not going to do anything anymore. So most people put a couple hundred item levels in her, and then when you have her 6 people around her, like you saw, it's super fast, and that's kind of good enough. Some people will go higher, but, you know, whatever you want. But yeah, so there is a functional cap to Whittle's speed. Putting a couple of them, putting Whittle and Deacon together, as you saw, it did go faster. But eventually there's going to be it's just everything's dying instantly. What are you going to do? Nobody else in weekends, did Whittle and Deacon. They're combined now in my mind. No one else here does speed. We shall move on and talk about Nahara. Nahara has a different kind of speed mechanic. So hey, we're going to talk about something new. Nahara has an ability called To Amuse or Avenge. And it's kind of like Deacon's in the sense that it's only a speed effect while you're killing things quickly, and then it shifts to a damage effect, right? So it's a transitional speed. Whereas like Whittle's speed mechanic, no matter what, is always on. Even at the higher levels where you're not killing instantly, Whittle is still boosting the spawn speed. Whereas Deacon only does that when you're killing them quickly. Nahara only does it when you're killing quickly. So, when you're killing things quickly, she, at the start of each area, she reduces the area requirements by 2% for each levity stack she has above 15. She starts off with a maximum of 30 stacks. So that means she could have 15 stacks, and thus reduce your area requirements by 30. What are the area requirements? They're these things up here at the top right. When it says you must kill, well, I can't do it. Dang it. This game loves to just... loves to hate me. You can't reduce 1, folks. So there are going to be cases where speed effect doesn't kick in. Of course it would happen, right? Of course I would be on this level. We will see it on the next one, hopefully. But normally you have to kill, or you have to collect 25 things, or kill 25 things. When Nahara's killing, when you're killing quickly, Nahara's going to reduce that just straight off the bat by 30%. By 30%. You can, no, she doesn't have a feat for this. Right. Her feats affect the damage portion of the ability, so she doesn't have a feat for this. And her item affects the damage portion as well. But her specialization oh man, one mad wizard defeated. Yeah, the game hates me right now. There we go. So it reduced it from 25 to 17 kills. Okay, this is another nice effect that allows you to get to a point where, when you were combining champions later, where you can 1 kill clear a stage. So if you've ever heard the phrase 1 kill clear, that means you've combined speed effects, so effectively you kill one thing, you move to the next area. Alright, so Nahara. Wow. I'm talking too fast for my own brain. Nahara does have kind of an older kit where she does have an area reduction effect in her specializations. So again, if they ever go through and rework Nahara, they'll most likely move this to a feat or put it in her kit somewhere. But we can do this. We can increase it by 50%. So now, instead of reducing things by 30%, she should be reducing them by 45%. Again, if she's at max stacks. If we come over here, we can see levities. Yeah, 45%. So instead of 17, we're now down to 13, right? So almost cut it in half functionally for this game, going from 25 to 13. We're only 1 off. So if you have her in her specialization and just functioning like this, and you're killing things immediately, you are going to have to kill almost half of the things, so a good 50%, almost 45% speed effect going on there with Nahara. So pretty straightforward. Again, it's nice. These types of speed champions are nice when a newer player picks them up, because their speed effect kicks in immediately. and you don't have to have an item boost. So like Deacon, kind of neat for newer players if you happen to pick them up. I don't know that we'll talk about like maybe somebody will ask which order you should get these in. Hint, hint. I don't necessarily think that's the order you should get them in, but if you happen to get them in a free time gate, you're going to get their effect right away. Okay. Let's talk about Sentry. This is a good champion to transition to from Nahara because Sentry has the same effect. Sentry has had a bit of a rework, so her boost is now in a feat instead of in her specialization choices. So we got a feat over here. Sprint increase, quest requirement reduction. So Sentry has the same type of situation going on. It's under it's under create echo, and it's not gonna. Oh, that's right. The game doesn't show it to us in here. Okay, it's over here. So create echo. Echo accompanies Sentry in the formation, and echo has effects based on whether Sentry wasn't, currently is, or was ever under attack in the current area. Echo is the little floating thing back here that's colored little eyeball, changes colors. If it's green, her speed effect is on. If it's green, her speed effect is on, and that means resolution is in effect. So if Sentry has not been attacked in the highest unlocked area, so as you're pushing through, there's 100%, I know it's 100.1, but it's 100% chance that quest requirements in the next area are reduced by 30%. So she actually does have an item for this. It's her tangling vines, or her flowering vines, slot 3. You do have to boost the item level of Sentry to get her to 100% rate. Yeah. And normally it would be a smaller percent reduction, and then we've got the feat, right? Normally here. So normally it's going to be 20%. Starts off at 20%. You throw the feat in, it goes up to 30%. Oh no, where'd it go? There it is. So she on her own can get you down to this 17, like we saw initially on Nahara. And if you put them both in, you will see this also does work in combination. So Sentry and Nahara together will take you down to a much lower value, as we see on the next screen, 11. Now, you're probably going 11. Wasn't Nahara 13 on her own? Yeah. Yeah. There's 9. So now we've kicked up. Nahara has to get her stacks. That's right. So Nahara's building up, and we're going to get down to some pretty low numbers. Is she it? Oh, I forgot. Nahara. It always throws me off that Sentry just gets hers immediately. Nahara has to build up. Oh, now she's at 30. Okay. So we'll double check. But I think 9 is the lowest. It's not a whole lot of difference, but again, the difference between Nahara and gosh. It's a boss. The difference between Nahara and Sentry is Sentry keeps that effect in as long as she hasn't been attacked. Now, Sentry is a tank, and a lot of people will watch me speed along with Sentry and be like, wait, why isn't your Sentry up here being a tank? And I'm like, well, I put her back here so she doesn't get attacked. And thus, even when I'm pushing deeper, her speed effect stays on. That's not the same with Nahara. Nahara's is going to go away when you stop killing things quickly. So, combination of Sentry. So, Sentry on her own can get you to 17. Nahara on her own can get you to 13. Combined, they'll take you down to 9. Right? So, much, much quicker completion if you have multiple in there. And then combine them with other things going on. Time to talk about everybody's favorite speed champion, Xander. Can you hear the sarcasm in my voice? Xander has an interesting speed mechanic. One thing that's important to note is these speed mechanics weren't thought up in advance, like early on in the game's history. Like, here's all of our speed mechanics. They're all going to be great. When the game started out, there was only one speed mechanic, and it was Minsk's. And Minsk's has been boosted to be a little bit better, but it wasn't very great. And they started experimenting with a lot of different speed mechanics, and they continue to experiment with speed mechanics. Like Vi is one of the more recent experimentations with speed mechanics. It doesn't always go well, folks. And, you know, when they get back around to reworking Xander, maybe they'll help Xander out a little bit. But for now, Xander's speed mechanic is a function. It's a distraction. It's a function of Lucky Shot. So whenever Xander lands a killing blow or anyone kills an enemy... hold on, let me talk about distraction first. Because Lucky Shot is the speed mechanic. But initially, Lucky Shot requires that Xander kill something for the speed effect to work. Xander's not a DPS. Okay? And if you have a speed mechanic that requires a specific person to kill an enemy, then it's only going to happen as fast as they're attacking. Right? And only while they can instantly kill an enemy. And when you're doing speed, as we talked about earlier, when you're running speed mechanics, usually you're killing things with your familiars, not with champions. We talked about that, right? Because the insta-kill of the familiars is going to spawn the next wave. That's what makes things go faster. Once you get to the point where your champions are killing things, a lot of the speed effects start to go away. So Xander is more of a late run speed effect because he's just not going to work when you're speeding along killing things with familiars. Never going to happen. Okay. There is an argument that late run speed mechanics are important so that you don't go fast, and then it's like crawl through every level. I'm not discounting that. I'm just discounting Xander. So, distraction. When Xander attacks and misses an enemy, the enemy is marked and will trigger Lucky Shot no matter who lands the killing blow. This means Xander, late in your runs, Xander will dash out, not kill something because he's a support champion. Mark it. Now, Xander attacks a random opponent. And this only when Xander attacks and misses. So not even not kill it, misses. Xander starts off with a 33% chance to miss. So Xander can only even trigger his speed mechanic a third of the time. And then it only goes off if someone then kills the enemy he marked. Xander attacks a random opponent. If your DPS is only attacking the nearest enemy, which happens a lot, good luck getting to that random opponent. And if your DPS attacks a random opponent, also good luck, unless they're the only thing on the screen. So Xander works best with AoE DPS, who are going to hit everything, hopefully. So Xander has a 33% chance to apply his speed mechanic. Now, whenever Xander lands a killing blow or anyone kills an affected enemy by distraction, so this is the actual effect later on, there's a % chance that the enemy awards double quest progress. This does have an item, that's why it's 100%. Yeah, you could dump a lot of item levels into Xander and get him to give multiple quest credit. But base, it's only a third of the time. A third of the time. He does have a specialization for this. This shows you he's an older speed mechanic that doubles his chance to miss. So you can get it to a 66% chance. 2/3 of the time he applies his speed mechanic and hopefully you hit the thing he applied it to. It's not really the greatest speed mechanic in the game. In fact, I would put it in the bottom. It's one of the worst. Hopefully we see Xander get some love because they have added new speed mechanics that do this, that award double quest progress, and don't require this random stuff to go on and someone to hit things afterwards and yada, 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 yada. So Xander tends to get ignored, especially in his own slot because Briv exists. Say hello to Briv, everybody. Say hello to one of the best speed champions in the game, who shares a slot, oh, there he does his speed thing, with one of the worst. So there's a reason Xander doesn't get used a whole lot. That reason is Briv. You just saw his speed mechanic trigger. You just saw it trigger. I'm gonna let you see it trigger again here, and then we're gonna talk about it. Look at him jump. Look at him go. We were on 108, folks. Now we're on 113. I just skipped 4 levels. So let's talk about it. It's unnatural haste. So, Briv has a chance of sprinting forward quickly on steel springs after completing a new area. This action consumes 4% of his sprint stacks, so this is a stacking mechanic, and requires at least 50 stacks to occur, so there is a point where he'll stop jumping. When you reset the adventure, all stacks of steel bones that Briv has gained in that adventure convert into stacks of sprint. So you build up, we're going to go back and talk about steel bones. You build up steel bone stacks in one run, and in the next adventure that you do, you use them as sprint stacks. Okay? Unused sprint stacks persist through resets. So if for some reason you don't use up all of your sprint stacks on one run, which happens a lot when you're newer with Briv, they'll just build up and you'll eventually use them at some point. Okay, let's talk about steel bones. Whenever Briv comes under attack, metal shoots out of his pores. It covers him in strong armor. While armored, Briv takes 10% less damage and gains stacks of steel bones whenever he's hit by an enemy attack. So to build up, to get steel bone stacks, you have to be attacked. So, as we're talking about speed champions, normally, if you're speeding through an area, you're not getting attacked by anyone. So Briv is a speed champion who, for newer players, it's like, well, he's only a speed champion if I have stacks, and that means I can't really use him to just churn lower levels because he's never getting attacked. You have to do deep pushes with Briv early on to be able to build up stacks, and then you get to use them the next time. So a lot of people early on are like, Briv, really a speed champion? Plus, early on, it's a chance to jump one area. I know I said I jumped 4, but that's because I have a higher level Briv. Briv has an item for this. And he has a specialization that can kind of affect it. There's a metalborn specialization that causes his jumping to use fewer sprint stacks. So instead of a 4% of his stacks, it'll use 3.2%. This lets you jump further. Or in this game, it's not further or farther, it's forther, if I remember. Sorry, that's a joke from one of their ads. Leveling it up doesn't change. There aren't upgrades to this. It's just, this is how his haste works. If we come over here, you'll see, like, you can see how many you have currently, and you can see how many areas you've skipped in this adventure. It'll tell you the chance to skip areas. But as you level up, this is his slot 4 item. As you level up his slot 4 item, as you can see, I've got 3,642 levels in it. He will have a percent chance to jump a single area, then it'll get to 100% chance to jump that area, and then you'll put more items in it, which means he's jumping every time you complete a zone, in which case you're going to start using up those sprint stacks more. But then as you keep going, it's a chance to jump more and more areas. So I said, like, currently I'm at a guaranteed chance to skip 4. He does have a feat. It locks you in at a 4 jump. So if I remove this and we come over here, it's actually, I have a, is it not registering right? It's not really registering right. I have actually a chance to, I'm guaranteed to skip 4 with a very tiny chance to skip 5. But for some reason that isn't updating correctly. You can just keep going with Briv. Briv will eat your item, your blacksmithing contracts forever and ever currently. The developers have stated that they plan to cap his item at the point where you would jump 9 areas. 9 is 4 is great, 9 is even better. Why these odd numbers? 4 takes you, if you're skipping 4 areas in this game, you're going from whatever you were on, like the first area, second, third in this block, to that area in the next block. So the way Briv jumping gets used is you're jumping from 1 to 6 to 11. or at 4 jump. If you're at 9 jump, you're jumping from 1 to 11 to 21, right? So the numbers increment either 5 or 10. And it creates a consistent way for you to build a group that lets you do what's called automated Briv gem farming, which is a non-scripting, just fully functional in-game mechanic way to have Briv jump lots of levels, build up a bunch of steelbone stacks, eventually clear the wave, restart with your Modron core, jump all the way back up there again. I will demonstrate it later. Maybe. Oh god, I'm not going to have sprint stacks. So probably not. We'll see. At some point it may equalize. So, Briv jumps. That's what Briv does. Briv just skips entire levels. Once you get him up to a certain point, right? That's his thing. Again, one of the best speed champions in the game. I would say top 2. Top 2 speed champions. All right. Let us talk about Shandy, the hero of Baldur's Gate. Shandy no longer. Once upon a time, Shandy had a speed function in her specialization. Not anymore. So, Shandy's speed effect. Shandy speeds up the game like a speed potion. I guess I should have given a nod to speed potions at the beginning. Oops. Oh well. My light bounce fell over. So speed potions exist in the game. There's a speed bonus. They're all the way from small to huge, and they multiply the game speed. Now, if I take Shandy out and we just look at speed potions, if I hover over this, you'll see current total acceleration 1x. That means we're at a base speed. And everything, these potions can multiply at higher levels of that speed, and the entire game speeds up. Well, Shandy functions that way. She functions like a speed potion, which is why if we come over here now... oh, it didn't do it. Oh, dang it. Why is this game never consistent? Shandy affects the game like a speed potion with her dash ability. Let me remove... Oh, no, that's just the triggering time. Oh, yeah, there we go. There. She's got a couple feats now, and they're fantastic. So, dash. Increase the game speed by 25% when the formation hasn't been under attack for 30 seconds. So, 25% faster normally. You got to wait 30 seconds. There are feats. You just saw me take them out. Second wind decreases the time it takes Shandy's dash ability to trigger from 30 seconds to 10 seconds. This is fantastic. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you get into the kind of speed shenaniganry that people get into, 30 seconds is in in-game time, not real time. So the timer pauses when you transition to a new level, and if you're killing, say you're 1 kill clearing a level, you could potentially go hundreds of levels before Shandy's dash kicks in if you're waiting 30 seconds. So reducing that to 10 seconds becomes a big deal. Also, Sprinter increases the effect of Shandy's dash ability by 100%. So between these two, we're now going 50% faster once you've not been attacked by 10 seconds. So Shandy is now kicked in. We can go over here. It now says 1.5x. Shandy stacks with speed potions and other speed and other abilities of this type that could be triggered in other ways, so that you can get to the cap of game speed at 10x. No, they're not going to raise that ever. So 10x is as fast as you can get. You can combine like I think a huge and a large with Shandy, and you can get to 10x. So Shandy lets you use fewer speed potions to get to 10x. And yes, there are some other ways to speed up the game like this. Shandy, again, there are feats, but Shandy doesn't have an item. So Shandy is another one of those new player friendly champions. If you happen to get Shandy for free in a pack or in a natural time gate, she's going to give you her speed for free, and it's great. She's also a great sport champion. But yeah, so Shandy. Slot 6 truly shines. Let's talk about Minsk. Minsk, the original speed champion. Minsk and Boo, the miniature giant space hamster. Their spec choices don't have anything to do with their speed, and I don't believe they added anything. Minsk could use a speed feat. I don't think they gave him one. No. All right. Minsk's speed effect is boastful. Whenever a non-boss enemy wave spawns, so this is only on non-boss levels, so not on the 5, right? There's a 33% chance of an extra enemy spawning. So Minsk spawns extra enemies. Why is that a speed effect? Well, the faster you get enemies on the screen and kill them, especially when you're killing instantly, the faster you move forward. So this is a speed mechanic. There's a 10% chance of 2 extra enemy spawnings. So it's a very low. It used to be like 10% and like 2.5%. They gave them a little love. It's 33. It's 1 in every 3, and then 1 in every 10 now. So it is a little better, but not super fast speed mechanic. Yeah, that's it. That's all Minsk got, folks. That's all Minsk got, and there's no one else in his seat. Okay. Let's talk about Tatyana. Tatyana is a newer champion. She has a unique speed effect that I like to call a speed effect. It speeds you up in very specific situations. All right. It is called Find a Feast. She just did it on screen, and you missed it. Find a Feast. If Tatyana is not attacked for 15 seconds, this is why I go speed. You've got to wait 15 seconds for it to happen. For it to trigger. So not attacked for 15 seconds, and the players are in a non-boss area with no barriers. So there's 2 restrictions. No bosses, no barriers. Barriers are like those logs that they put in places. She runs ahead off the right side of the screen. She returns 2 seconds later with an additional number of enemies. This number can vary. That spawns simultaneously. It just happened again. After she returns, the 15-second counter starts again from 0 seconds. So it's like 17 to 20 seconds to get, like, once it triggers, 17-ish seconds later, you're getting her speed effect. She has an item for this. Muffin Surprise increases the number of enemies spawned. No, it's not capped. Yes, you can spawn 100 enemies at once. If you get it up high enough. There's also a feat for that. So if we watch here, let's turn this off. Here in a moment, I don't think we've done it yet. Did she do it already? She might have. Here in a moment, there she goes. She runs off the screen. She runs back, and she brings a bunch of friends. See how that works? That's it. That's her speed effect. Now, again, this is not a speed effect for, like, if you're speed running gem farming. However, there are times, again, like I was talking about before, there are times where you get deeper in your runs where you want lots of enemies out as quickly as possible so you can get to that ramp up point. There's also times where you're trying to farm lots of enemies. Like, this is good for generating lots of enemies for those patron challenges or for seasons. Like, there's a season quest right now that's defeat a bunch of monstrosities. Yeah, this is great. There's also champions who ramp up their abilities based off how many things they killed. It's good for that too. So it does have some uses that do speed things up. But it's not like a gem farm speed mechanic, which is usually what a lot of people are rating speed champions off of. How quickly can they help me gem farm? Again, her specializations, she's a more modern champion. Specializations don't affect this at all. It is just the item and the feat. Let's move on to Hew Maan. Hew Maan, the other of the top 2 speed champions in the game, in my opinion, Briv being the other one, right? Briv and Hew Maan are ridiculous. Hew Maan isn't totally a human, and absolutely not 3 kobolds in a trench coat. Hew Maan's speed effect triggers off of teamwork. So teamwork triggers off where Hew Maan is placed in a formation. So Zrang is what we're looking at right now. It says front 2 columns. It can be the front column or columns. It will tell you in here. You'll have to look. You'll learn based off the size of the formation. Enemies have a 40% chance to drop double quest items or count for double quest progress. So this is that doubling mechanic. Now notice, like Xander, it was a 33% chance to miss, and then you have to mark something, and then it triggers. Hew Maan's just like, yeah, we're doing this all the time, but it's a percent chance. But Hew Maan has ways that are built in to affect this, like an item. But there's also another ability. So we look at Zrang. Zrang's what we want to buff. Zrang's teamwork is what we want to buff. If we come down here, we can see carefully balanced buffs Zrang's teamwork ability. And it buffs it by 1% for each champion adjacent to the kobolds. Okay, so if we throw out a bunch of champions, I'm going to do this, they have to be in the front 2 columns. So like in Sword Coast, I bring them back 1, and then I surround them with a bunch. And now suddenly we are now at a 690% chance to drop double quest items, right? What does this mean? So if you have a 100% chance to drop an extra quest item, 2, that's 2. So 100% is 2. 690% is 7. Guaranteed 7 with a 90% chance to drop an 8, like to count as 8. Okay? That's what we're looking at here. So 1 kill with Hew Maan right now, 1 kill with Hew Maan on the screen counts as 7. Counts as 7 at this number. There are carefully balanced feats. And again, if you were in a situation where the number is gonna vary based off how many that you're adjacent to, we're now down to a 4. 1 counting as 4, right? Usually this is where we're seeing a lot of it, and you're getting that multiplier, right? Now, Hew Maan's item, again, this is, I've stacked up an item. Hew Maan's item does have a cap. So there is a max amount you're going to get to. And you can use feats to multiply that, and you can use surrounding them with people to change that, but that's it, right? Hew Maan was given a recent feat. This is not an inherent ability, but Hew Maan was given the Path is Clear feat that increases game speed by 10% when the formation is not under attack. So Hew Maan does have a little mini Shandy action, as if Hew Maan wasn't good enough. They gave Hew Maan a little mini Shandy effect, and it's not even, it doesn't even say it's time-based. So it probably just as long as it's not under attack, you get 10% more. So if we go up here, this should be, 1.1x. Right? If we throw Shandy out there, we can go see how fast we're going. Oh, well, we got to wait for her to kick in. We got to wait 10 seconds. But yeah, you can always see how fast you're going up here, like if you're using these multiplier champions, by just hovering over the potion. There we go, 1.65. Because they multiply against each other, folks. It's great. And when you hit when you activate a potion, it will show you the bonus over here. Okay. So Hew Maan, super fantastic champion, lots of feats to speed things up. Getting extra kill credit, especially if you're getting like 7 extra kill, like getting 7 for 1, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, folks. And if there's anyone else out there who has extra kill credit, they work together. So just truly can be incredibly ridiculous. Hew Maan, again, there's a reason Hew Maan's one of the top speed champions in the game. Yeah, we did the nod to Ellie Wick here. Okay, we do have to talk to Virgil. All right. Havilar. Havilar is a champion with a speed mechanic that confuses a lot of people, because they usually open up Havilar and they're like, I don't see anything that says speed anywhere. Why does she have the speed tag? So Havilar summons imps, and nowadays she summons them automatically when you put her in. She has 4 different imps, and they spawn in different combinations. But this first set that she spawns with initially is the one that triggers her speed effect. Her speed effect, if you're reading through here, you don't see anything about a speed effect. You actually have to come over here. And it's under Fiendish Resolve. So when you have any fiend in the area, Havilar triggers these speed effects. Now, if you'll note, we're here on Mad Wizard. There's some fiends coming out here. See, we see some fiends. Hold on, let me get rid of these. Let me get rid of these friendly familiars here. There's some fiends. These lesser imps are actually fiends. So on this level, any level that you have someone a fiend on, her speed effect is going to trigger. Her speed effect under Dembo, fiend enemies drop 2 quest items at once or count for 2 kills at once. So there's another doubler, right? So if we were to put Hew Maan in here with Havilar, and Hew Maan was at that guaranteed 7, and Havilar gets you double 2, suddenly you're getting like 14. It's ridiculous. When you put doublers with multipliers, it's, yeah. So, but this, again, it's only if a fiend is present. So Mad Wizard tends to be the area where everybody does their first gem farm, because it has the fastest initial levels for just kind of a base adventure in the game. The first 30 levels of Mad Wizard are the fastest because they have these enemy spawners. Let me go show you. Well, I don't remember where they are. There's probably one around here. It's those things that, like, it's like a port. There we go. This is a portal. We call it, it's a spawner. It dumps enemies out, and if you're killing them instantly, it just never stops dumping them out. It just dumps them out so fast. This makes Mad Wizard super efficient for gem farms when you're first starting out. So people come here, and because there's fiends here, Havilar is a good kind of starter champion to help doubles. Now the fiends, again, see the question, do her imps count for the double? No, it has to be enemies. Yeah. I mean, any fiend is in the area, and her own imps don't count. So as you're moving through, she will occasionally give you a double. That's Havilar's thing. If you're using her in Avernus, there's lots of fiends there, folks. It's pretty much like it's tons and tons of fiends. So she's great for speed there as a doubler. However, nowadays she competes in her own slot with Virgil. Virgil has this kind of similar speed mechanic, except Virgil's given an item. Virgil has an item. So Virgil's slot 5 increases rapid fire. Rapid fire is the speed effect. Enemies that are defeated within 2 seconds of being on the screen, so you do have to kill them quickly, have a 5% chance to drop base. Double quest items or count for double quest progress for each rival of Waterdeep champion in the formation, stacking additively. So if you max out Virgil's item, which I have done, that chance with just Virgil in is chance for double quest progress 100%. With a very tiny percent chance for a triple. Okay. As you add more rivals of Waterdeep in, this goes up and up and up. So rivals kind of have a built-in speed mechanic with Virgil in this way. You can get it much higher. But when you're running gem farms, just Virgil on his own is what you're looking for. You're looking to get it to about 100%. So it's always on, and it works on everything. Unlike Havilar, works on everything. It just requires a larger investment to get there, right? Havilar gives it to you for free. Virgil's like, no, pay up. Item levels, please. Okay. He does have a feat. It does take this feat to get Virgil to 100% on his own. Okay. Virgil has a lot of other things going on, but this is the speed mechanic. Just give you double credit for everything. As you can see, we're going up 4 at a time. How are we going 4 at a time? I don't know. See any math? There, I am going up 4 at a time. There's something that's ghosting me at the moment, and we're just gonna roll with it. Okay, Virgil, how about? Yeah, we're getting double credit right now. Havilar, I think, is giving us double credit from the bench. Oh, this is bad. Let's talk about Vi, baby. I need some root beer for this conversation. So. Remember earlier when I talked about When I talked about how they experiment with speed effects and sometimes they hit and sometimes they miss, I was a miss. I was a bit of a miss. But that's okay. That's okay. So, Vi says, I'm too old for this. Vi gains 165 sass. Okay. If there are only 5 or fewer enemies on the screen, Vi waits impatiently instead of her base attack. We can see that over here. Bored now. Vi waits for a bigger threat before acting. And the delay between monsters spawning in a wave is reduced depending on her sass amount for the duration of her base attack cooldown. So, what the heck does that mean? It's kind of the whole duration of her base attack cooldown. It's going to be up the whole time unless you have more than 5 enemies on the screen. Then it will go away. But what does this even mean? What is the delay between monsters spawning in a wave? Well, let's talk about waves for a second. Waves of enemies can be anywhere from 1 to 3 normally. 1 to 3 normally, and you can see how they all spawned kind of at a different rate. But they kind of come out pretty quickly together. I mean, you see this, right? You see that, hey, they're not that far off. That delay between them spawning is what Vi reduces. It's not the delay between waves, which might have been cool later on. But that doesn't even work because it's only if there's less than 5 enemies on the screen. It's just between enemies spawning in a wave, and sometimes you only get 1 enemy in a wave. Sometimes you only get 1 enemy in a wave. So in those cases, Vi's effect doesn't even trigger because there isn't anything for it to trigger on. So the ability reduces the time between spawns in a given wave only if there's 2 or 3 enemies that spawn, because that's the max you can get. And a spawn, the delay is usually about a little less than a half a second, as you were seeing. So her ability just makes that faster. It makes it faster. So when we have Vi in, they're going to spawn, as you were seeing, kind of quicker because we had Vi in, so it was faster. Vi has a specialization. And it doubles her sass, so it effectively doubles the speed effect. As you can see now, they're kind of just spawning almost right with each other. When they do spawn multiples, so we're getting a lot of singles. But when we're spawning doubles, they're basically right together. They're basically coming out together. There's 3 that came out basically all at the same time. That's her speed effect, folks. It's not the greatest thing in the world. And again, it has that extra trigger of only happening I don't even know what the odds are. It doesn't happen if there's only 1 enemy in a wave, but I don't know how often that rolls. Like, is it an equal 33% chance? So it's kind of like, I feel like if it's equal, it's kind of like Xander in that it happens 66% of the time. But only if you're killing things very quickly. It's very underwhelming. So Vi, we love Vi as a character, but Vi not so much the speed champion at the moment. At the moment, I do hope they give her, it's not the most viable ability. Yes. Well done, Larking Rider. Hopefully Vi gets some love in the future. So let's go talk about Melf. Melf is a speed champion, is an older speed champion, so Melf does have a specialization. So what you're saying is there's a chance, yeah. Melf does have a specialization. Melf also has an item, so Melf can get a little wild at times if you get the item levels up enough. So let's talk about Melf's speed. Melf's speedy supplement. At least you know which one's the speed effect, right? Melf provides a random speed up buff. Okay. The buff provided changes after every 50th area. And this is the 50th area I need to point out that Melf was in the formation to help complete. You can't take Melf out, move 50 areas, drop him in. Leave Melf in. and draws from these 3 possibilities. A % chance to spawn additional enemies, like Minsk. A % increased enemy spawn speed, like Deacon and Whittle. Or a % chance of increased quest drops, like Havilar and Virgil. So Melf can randomly bounce through different speed effects. You just don't have a way to choose which one you're getting at any given time. So the spawn speed, again, does work in combination with Deacon and Whittle. We talked about how that eventually you can frame rate cap that. Increased quest drops. This is like Havilar, Virgil, and Hew Maan. So this does work multiplied in this situation. And the chance to spawn additional enemies. Once you get that, it's just always going to happen. Now, again, there's an item for this. This is why my numbers are up in the 600%. So we're at some very high numbers here because my item levels is very high. There is a feat for this, 40%, and there's a specialization that doubles it. So, right now, if we go look, Melf is at a 1200, over a 1200% chance to do this. So right now it's right now we're on the good one. Right now we're on the good one. Hold on, go back. Did we just get there? Folks, don't play around with Melf's name in chat. You might get smited. I'm just gonna let you know. There's a reason. It's confusing. Look at this. Look at this spawn. Look at this. It's just a continual spawn of enemies, folks. This is what it looks like when Melf is spawning extra enemies. It's just they just keep coming. They just keep coming. This is fantastic. When you can get on this one, this is great for those, hey, I've got to kill 15,000 monstrosities type things. Because if you can get a higher level Melf, it's just going to spawn them just continuously, just forever. Melf, this is great in combination. I mean, you could Minsk. This is why Minsk is like, because look what Melf does, right? Melf just has it coming out all the time. This is great in combination with the aforementioned, Tatyana. Because if you're just going to sit on a level and kill endless amounts of enemies, Tatyana bringing in waves of them too, just helps you kill lots and lots and lots and lots. Okay, so this is what it looks like when he's on the extra spawns. You already saw what it looks like if they're on speed, because you saw what Deacon and Whittle do. Same type of effect. It just makes them run out faster. And there's the extra credit, right? I have it up to 1200%. That means you get 13 credit for 1 kill when that triggers. Which is a little ridiculous. But again, he does rotate through different options, and you have no control over it. So when you're trying to, if you're trying to set up a kill farm, you have to go on an adventure until you get the extra enemies spawning, and then find what you want to kill in that 50 areas. So a little more work with Melf if you're trying to utilize stuff. Otherwise, it's going to be random. And he can totally do this every 50 areas. He could stay on the same effect multiple times in a row. It's just he's going to re-roll, and he just re-rolls between the 3. It's not I'm going to do one of the other 2 now. So there isn't a lot of control with Melf's speed, but he does boost 3 things that are, speed boosty things. All right. So that is all the champions. That's all our champions. And we've gone a little over in time. Imagine that. I'm going to talk about one last thing. We talked about speed potions, but there is a speed core. This is the fast core. It is the one with the winged eyebrows. Okay. Now with the fast core has 3 nodes that give you speed. One is available to you at level 5, once you get your core to level 5. The next is available at level 10, and the final is available at level 15. So 1 increases enemy spawn speed. we know what this does, right? So this is it starts at 6%, goes up to 50%. I have a potion that's boosting my end nodes, so it says it's 75. I don't know if that's actually affecting the speed, but okay. This one up here is enemies have an extra chance to drop 2 quest items or count for 2 quills at once. Unfortunately here it caps out at 50%. So this doesn't even get you a guaranteed double. It introduces some randomness, and you can randomly get some extra credit, but it is a speed effect. And this one just accelerates the whole game. So you can get a base acceleration bonus of 50% here by getting the flow to 4. Just getting purple flow can get you to 50% faster all the time. All right. And yes, that does stack with Shandy. If we come over here, we're already seeing like 1.5. If we throw out Hew Maan and Shandy and give Shandy 10 seconds to get faster, you will see, there we go, that we're now up to 2.475 because every time you add a speed boost, it multiplies against each other. They're not additive. Same with the potions. So this is another way that you can use fewer potions to get to super speed. What is super? I'm just going to go all the way. Here's 10x speed, folks. Here's capped game speed. This is what it looks like. Okay, so whenever you've hopped onto a stream and things have been going real fast, this is what's going on. It's this. All right. That was a sneeze. Yes, thank you. So we're going to take a short break. We have a musical interlude. Gabe's been grabbing questions that have a question colon in front of them. If you did not put question colon in front of them, you're going to have to re-ask. But if you did ask them with question colon, we have it over here. I've got like 18 questions. We're going to dive into that afterwards. The song for the break is Steel Marrow. It's a song for Briv. We'll be right back.
Magic metal in his bones, skin harder than the stone, travels through the plains with his dusty blade. That's your swords against his high, Briv the bow will hold the line. He's always there to render aid. Not a sea betwixt the stars, he takes his grip into the sky, yeah. Catch a metal sound of thunder, snatch his foes asunder. He's still narrow, yeah. How's that feeling? He's still narrow, yeah. He aims to misbehave, put me in my grave. To heal, no match for a man of steel. March from the darkness toward the light. Full of vigor, full of pride. Briv the bash won't be denied. They can feel it flee before his sight. Drawing armor from the skin, never is gift to his kin, yeah. Roads in the soul, the lions go. He's still narrow, yeah. How's that feeling?
We're back. I meant to build out a full speed formation while we were on the break, but I was too into singing the song, so I was like, woo, go Briv. Let me throw a bunch of. Oh God, it's moving so fast I can't put people out. This is the problem things can get into, folks. Let's do all the ridiculousness. Let's get Melf out. Oh my God. It's spawning so fast. It's spawning so fast. Who should we throw in for the last? Briv is kind of pointless for what I'm doing at the moment. So let's just say hi, Minsk. Look how fast those enemies are spawning, folks, and how many of them. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this ridiculousness. All right. All right, we'll just sit here and people. Xander, how dare you? How dare you? Okay. Oh yeah, I guess. Well, no, I'm using. Well, yeah, I guess Hew Maan doesn't really matter here. We could do Tatyana. I don't know that you're gonna. Yeah, there's stuff shows up here in front of the formation because it's moving so fast. It's just jumping. Here's an important thing to note, folks. If you put this many enemy spawn speed champions together, it can cause enemies to spawn right in front of your formation. In fact, in the past, we've had things go so fast that enemies spawned behind the formation and you instantly failed the level. Bugs. Because the speed is only supposed to move them up to the point where they die instantly. It should never jump them that far, so it's... bugs. Okay, so this will freak some people out when they're watching later. This is a great place to do questions. And I'm going to start with a question from the bottom of the list because I actually baited people into asking it and I wanted to address it. Anonymous asks, what order do you recommend we acquire speed champions? There's going to be a lot of debate about this. I run new player accounts fairly regularly. I just started one a couple months ago. And on this one, I really dove into it going, you know what? I want to see what happens if I really target speed champions as my choices first. How quickly can I truly ramp up my completion of adventures and get into gem farming and the ridiculousness of item levels? How quickly can I do that? Now, obviously, yes, you start out with Minsk, so Minsk is always going to be your first speed champion. But here's kind of how I would go about thinking about it, because there's no answer that's 100% of the time accurate. Because you're either picking up champions, like maybe there's a free promotional pack that comes out and you get some speed champions free. Yay. Maybe like on my anniversary stream a while back, I gave out Briv to everybody. You're welcome. Maybe you get you start around a certain event and that champion is featured. There's a speed champion in it. Hey, you got it. And then maybe there's natural time gates that pop up, and one of the options they give you is a speed champion. Wonderful. So in some of these situations, you're just going to grab what's offered to you, like in the first three. In the natural time gate option, I recommend grabbing whatever the coolest speed champion is, but there's other considerations for what you're choosing in a natural time gate as well, like trying to get to split the party 1, 2, or 3. Those are big deals. Especially because split the party 2 is where you get your speed core. So starting to level that up early is important. So there's kind of a lot going on with this question. So here's how I'm going to frame it. Regardless of all those other things, if those other things don't happen and you're having to spend your time gate pieces over here, selecting champions manually in order, I am going to say Briv first. This is going to be counterintuitive to some people because Briv's speed effect isn't always on, and it doesn't even trigger all the time when he's just a baby. When he's a baby champion. And he's item levels, right? However, There are other considerations where I can't make this recommendation in a vacuum. There are other things you have to consider. Briv is one of the best tanks and one of the best healers and one of the best speed champions in the game. So you kind of want to pick him up as soon as you can. For that reason, because not only is he going to eventually build up a speed mechanic that's going to be great, he is just going to help you push and complete areas and move your progress because he's a strong champion. Like Artasnan says, he does too much. He does too much well. Everything he is listed as a role, he excels at. So, yeah. So I recommend him first. And there's another reason I recommend him first. When you first start this game, you have a lot of these things. You probably start getting things called blacksmithing contracts, and you're asking people, what do I do with my blacksmithing contracts? Where should I put them? The answer is Briv. Briv. You put them on Briv. There's no other champion early game. Like when I started my new player account, I was like, I'm just not using blacksmithing contracts until I unlock Briv. And then I'm dumping them all on Briv. Briv is that big of a deal. Dumping all your blacksmithing contracts on Briv not only increases the chance his speed effect is going to happen. It takes a lot to get to 100%. But it's going to increase that chance that a speed effect is going to happen. But it also just makes him an even better tank and healer and support champion for you. I've pushed my new player account is I think around when it's about 2.5 months old now, but at like 2 months old, just under 2 months old, I was already pushing past area 1,000 in an event because Briv with item levels. I just now, thanks to the season, thanks to getting on the free-to-play path, I bought these contract packs on the free-to-play path once I hit tier 11, and then I dumped all those contracts into Briv, and I got him up to a guaranteed 100% chance to skip 1, 20% chance to skip 2. I'm now at the point where I can start doing that fabled automated Briv gem farming, or at least attempt to, on my new player account that's only 2.5 months old. And I can start dumping item levels into someone else. So Briv is my recommendation for your first speed champion. If you have to manually pick one, Briv. Because investing in him early and often pays back big dividends. After that, Hew Maan. Hew Maan is also going to need a lot of item levels, but Hew Maan can do stuff right out of the gate. Now, if you have the ability to pick up someone like Deacon or Shandy, whose speed effect kicks in just, or Nahara, they don't need item levels if they're available in a natural time gate as an option, and one of these other speed champions isn't, grab them because, again, they're instant. Their effects kick in pretty instantly as long as you're killing quickly. They're wonderful to have, right? They're just fantastic. Shandy, probably, I would put Shandy as like, top 3. Like, she's the third, I would say, most best speed champion after Briv and Hew Maan. She's just great because she speeds up the whole game. Now, she does have a consideration for that, but just a solid champion. After that, it's kind of like, what exactly do you need to boost, right? Whittle, if you have the item levels and you can start boosting item levels into Whittle, there you go. Sentry needs item levels, Virgil needs item levels, Melf needs item levels. Like, after that, everybody needs item levels. So, but Briv and Hew Maan are kind of your first consumers of item levels. They're like your priorities. So Briv first, lots of item levels. Now that I've got Briv to that kind of threshold that lets me potentially attempt to automate the gem farming, I'm going to jump over and dump item levels into Hew Maan for a while. Gets a little vaguer after that, right? Gets a little vaguer after that. All right. Let me go back to the top of the list and hit the things on topic. Imaginal Disc. Does Briv only work if you spend time charging him up for stacks? Yes. Do you have to alternate him on and off speed farming teams? No. Like, so when you're doing, like, if you note, I didn't even put him in here, because if I'm doing Mad Wizard, Briv isn't involved. If you're just churning to your insta-kill wall, which is usually how you gem farm, like you speed gem farm, you're just going as high as your click killing, instant click killing like this, and then resetting with a Modron core. Briv has no function in this. Now, again, I talked about automated Briv gem farming. There is a way, once you get him to a guaranteed chance to skip 100%, 20% chance to skip 2 levels. At that point, that is where the math people have said he becomes more efficient for gem farming. It is a much more difficult gem farm than this. This is just throw a bunch of speed champions in and fly, right? Like, look at how quickly we just kind of move through this, right? This is just, it's kind of like slideshow, one level to another. And the only time we're slowing down is when they want you to collect an item and not just kill things, right? This is super fast, right? But there is a way to do Briv gem farming that, again, there's a lot of tweaks with it, and you jump through a lot of levels, and then you stop at a certain point. He rebuilds his stacks, and then you clear the wave, and it jumps you back, and it can all be done via automation. It takes a bit of work. It does take a bit of work. I screwed up my Briv. He doesn't have the stacks for me to jump all the way through to show that off, unfortunately. But it's a thing. It's a thing. Lazy Cat, would you consider Ariza and Freely speed champions? Ariza's attack speed up killing barriers and Freely speeds up favor game. No, again, because we're talking about I don't think Freely doesn't speed up favor gain. Freely increases your favor gain. I know that sounds the same, but it's different. And we're talking about non-attack things. Like I said at the beginning, a speed effect is not a damage-based effect, and attacks are damage-based. Killing barriers are usually 1 HP. Everybody can kill a barrier. Yeah, somebody with a multi-attack can take more chunks off, but that's not usually what we're talking. We're not talking about attacks usually that are triggering a speed effect. Yeah. Bush Clutch, does Finn's Patron's Oath affect all patron challenges? Yes. Well, there might be a couple edge cases that it doesn't. But honestly, I don't do my patron chores manually, so I couldn't tell you which edge cases those are. I think there's a couple that it doesn't double the effect on. Like, what you have to understand is it gives you double credit. So, like, I think it should credit you, like, in most things. But there might be one or two where it doesn't work. Yeah. Finn's newer, and that's her niche speed thing is just for patrons. So, and I don't do my patron stuff manual anymore. I do it all in my background parties usually. So, okay, we did this one. Did that one. Rough Rider asked how many enemies are typically in a wave, and it's 1 to 3. It's 1 to 3, usually. Imaginal Disc. I didn't see feats for Whittle that affect Hurry Up Now specifically. Whittle's speed effect is Tasty Friends, and there are feats for Tasty Friends. So you were looking at the wrong thing. Hurry Up Now is her attack speed boost. And again, usually when we're talking speed, we're not talking about attacks or attack speed. We're talking about non-attack based speed effects or non-damage based speed effects. So just killing something quicker isn't usually what we consider a speed effect. It's the credit for things that you get after killing it or etc. Rough Rider wants to know, which speed champion should I get last? Vi. Shefik wants to know, which speed champs work best with a potato? Asking for a friend. I don't know, because I don't have a potato. You'll have to ask Lurking Rider. Lurking Rider has the potato. Peroville, isn't it a big hindrance for gem output when Briv skips bosses? Oh, I guess we should have talked about that, huh? No. Whenever Briv jumps a boss, he as he's flying over, he reaches down and grabs the boss's bag, and then lands with it and opens it up. So you get everything that would come out of a boss bag. You get the gems, you get the chests, and if you have Black Viper in your party, you get that chance at red gems. Now, it doesn't always show up immediately. Sometimes it fills that in at the end of the run. It's kind of one of those things like with Modron XP. If you're jumping areas with Briv, it looks like you're not getting Modron XP. Excuse me. You are. It's calculating it on the server side, and when you reset your adventure, it then shows it to you. Rough Rider, if increased spawns are a speed function, should Nixie be considered a speed champion with her wild magic? Ooh, so Nixie is a new champion. She has a wild magic effect that causes a lot of things to happen. And one of them is, where is it? It's down to Eldrick's Entourage, a random monster summoned. Here's the problem. There are 8 different effects that she can trigger. And only one of them is Eldritch Entourage, and it only summons like one enemy, is my understanding. I'm gonna say no. Like that's such a low chance to ever happen. That I don't think that qualifies. Again, back in the day, the original Minsk, I didn't think he should have had a speed effect either, because it was like a 10% chance to spawn one extra enemy. So no, I'm going to say no. I think the devs were right not putting a speed tag on Nixie. Yeah, okay. Satose asked for Havilar, do her imps count for the doubling effect? No, it has to be an enemy imp on this. Enemy fiend on the screen. And Dice Told Tales follows up with this Turiel's fiend spotting count towards Havilar's speed effect. Yes, because it actually creates a fiend. So if you use Turiel in combination with Havilar, anywhere, Turiel can create fiends on a level, and that can then speed things up. But it's like once every now and then type of thing. He doesn't turn everything into fiends, so it gives you a little bit of extra speed, but not always. But it's not an always-on effect. Delshift B, do you believe there should be a way to reduce or cap some of the enemy spawn speed effects in case one of the characters becomes too extreme? I think they need to cap any champion that has an item that affects speed should have a cap on it. First off, that's my thoughts. And they just actually said that recently on, I think yesterday on Thursday on Dev Insights. They wish, if they knew what they knew now, they would have capped all speed effect items from the beginning. Which then begs the question for me, well, then why don't you just cap some of them now? But they'll get to it maybe. Yeah, so I think they're going to cap Brivs at 9 jumps. I know there's some people that are at 11, which is ridiculous. But yeah, they're going to cap some things, and who knows if they'll cap the others. I think it's just good to be aware of which ones become problematic if you get too many, and that there's a certain cap to some of them, right? Like the spawn speed, eventually it's functionally capped. Yeah, and I would like them to take another look at the issues of enemies appearing right in front of the formation, because it's really just supposed to show up back there. But it's kind of a low priority thing, right? Saram, how do you get the area completed to track the areas you skip with Briv for challenges and dailies? I I don't... Oh, man, did they change this? It used to be that if Briv jumped an area, you didn't get credit for it for challenges and dailies. Briv was, not somebody you should necessarily put in for that. I don't know if they changed, if they fixed that or not. I just don't... Like, if I'm trying to actively do those things, I just don't use Briv. But I don't know if they fixed that and made it credited or not. Like I said, I know it works for Modron experience now. But I don't know if it works for Challengers Dailies. That's a question for Dev Insights. That's not a question. Bike Tomy, do any of the speed champions have any effect in the background party? So that's a thing they've been working on every now and then. I don't know if any of them are turned on yet. They like to say that Shandy works in a background party, but I haven't tested it personally. I know there are, like, if I have my speed core going, some of the speed effects seem to work sometimes. It's like some speed potions. So anything that functions like a speed potion, sort of, maybe. But Shandy and Hew Maan say when the formation's not under attack, and it was always explained to us. That under offline progress, the party is always kind of under attack. But some people are saying that that's not the case now. But I haven't seen any confirmation from like Justin or Dave or the people who actually coded background progress. So yeah, they said that Shandy was supposed to be working the old back, but they said that no, she wasn't. So I don't know who to trust. I don't know who to trust, because I haven't heard from what we really need to hear is an update from the person who actually coded the background progress and how it actually works. Because I have, from everything that I'd heard before, from asking questions about how background progress actually tracks, the party was always under attack, and that would mean Shandy wouldn't work. So here's the thing. One of the things they rewrote background progress to do was to be able to go in and tweak individual champions and make their effects work. So if they did go in and tweak Shandy and turn on her effect, great. But I don't know if that's the case. It would be great if maybe they would go through and do that. But to my knowledge, they haven't yet. Justin's speed blog will have all the answers. I always said that there was never going to be a speed champions. I wasn't going to do the tutorial again for speed champions until there's a speed blog. So maybe that tells you the chances I think there's going to be a speed blog. All right, back up to some generic questions. Can Rabbit, thanks to your help, I got the Supercharge All achievement. Nice. 1 to go. Power and output with 0 flow. How do I do that? Is what I'm taking by the extra question marks. You just need to go into to your core, and right out of the gate, and let's clear this. Right out of the gate, you start splitting your flow. So you start at 1 flow, right? And if you split it, now I'm down to 525. Now I'm down to 2.6. I'm just going to keep splitting my flow. Splitting my flow where I'm at. 0.076. Splitting my flow. 0.040. I think you get the idea here. You just have to have enough splitters to get it down to 0. To finally get it down to 0. 0.06. 0.03. 0.02. 0.01. There we go. There's 0 flow. There's 0 flow. So it's just about linking a bunch of splitters until you get it down to 0. Yeah. So it's very piece dependent, but shouldn't be too big of a problem. I'm going to go ahead and close this. I think I'm going to try to at least... Well, I'm going to need to turn that off. I'll try to show off the Briv gem farming. I don't know if we have enough time for me to equalize my formation. Which doesn't make sense, probably, but... Automated Briv gem farming takes very specific levels and very specific champions. this is my current formation. Now let's just use this one. So like with my speed effects going on, I can cap at 10x with a large and a medium. But as you can see, I'm killing very quickly, and then Briv's just jumping, and we're flying through. Unfortunately, right now, my Briv is going to be out of levels very quickly. Out of sprint stacks very quickly. And we'll have to walk the rest. Sometimes you have to normalize this when you run out of stacks, and then it gets back into the loop. But ideally, this bounces all the way up to, as you can see, 687. It would bounce to 686. It would reset itself because it's Modron automated, and it would just do that over and over and over again. And that's how you get ridiculous, like 1.10 EO6 gems. That's not even ridiculous, but it's high, right? It's ridiculous by a new player standard, but not by Briv gem farming standards. Rough Rider asks, what fun activities will you be doing during the 5 to 7 hours of server downtime on Monday? Yes, if you didn't know, folks, Codename Entertainment announced that they're taking the servers down on Monday for a much-needed server maintenance. It'll be just after noon Pacifically, and it'll last anywhere from 5 to 7 hours. That's their targeted window. I will tell you, sometimes those things go quicker. Sometimes they go a lot longer. Plan to do something else that day. They'll be having a stream at noon Pacifically with Mars on, it's Mars on Monday, and his guest will be Chris Dupuis. If you don't know who that person is, you should tune in. Chris is the keeper of the secrets. Chris is the person who maps out the roadmap for Idle Champions and determines and kind of places all the things and where and when they're going to be arriving to the game. And Chris is going to be dropping secrets on Monday. So the 2023 roadmap is the conversation on Mars on Monday. And then after that, Sean's going to be playing some kind of game related to whatever secret got dropped. I might have an idea of what that is, but I can't talk about it. So that's going to be happening on Monday. Normally I stream on Mondays on my channel, twitch.tv/Gaarawarr, spelled like it sounds, but you can see it below. I usually stream Idle Champions on Monday, but the game's going to be down, so I'm not streaming. I'm just going to be watching their streams probably and doing other things. Because I want to hear the spoilers. Bunny's happy. I'm still learning the game as I've not played for many years. Welcome back. Is there a nice hero I should buy in the store to help me? I'm a beginner still and I want to learn. I mean, if you want to support the game, there are a lot of champions over here. Like I would check and see, like, are there some packs with champions maybe? Hold on, let me look through here. I mean, there's Havilar. Desmond's cool. You already have... Oh, I can claim that reward. It's free to Dob. Oh! Get yourself a $5 Briv. Holy cow. Grab yourself Briv if you want to throw money at the game, if you want to throw a little money at the game and buy a champion out of the shop. I was just talking about Briv today. Grab yourself a $5 Briv. It gives you Briv. It gives you the Gladiator skin pack, 7 chests for Briv, and an Overwhelm feat. And that's actually pretty solid. I run this Overwhelm feat on Briv all the time. So this is a pretty great combo. It's only $5 right now. I would say there you go. Are there some other cool champions here? Sure. But for $5 for Briv, I mean, that's like a $5 footlong right there. What a deal. Yeah, so I would say if you're going to throw money at the game and you don't have Briv yet, buy Briv. $5 right now. Shevik, in regards to Hew Maan, what kind of human has a third hand in their chest firing crossbow bolts? Look, everybody is a little different. Let's not judge. Haunt the Lawn, why excavating history for your gem farm? So this is specifically for mine. And it is because now we're going to get into talking about how automated Briv gem farming works. There is something that I refer to. There's a character, a champion, one of your champions goes in the formation to be what I refer to as your brake. This is like braking a car, right? I'm flying through all these levels. Somebody has to slam me to a stop and allow Briv to get attacked at some point, right? So I use Neris as my brake. She has an ability that lets you kill undead much easier. And excavating history, most of the levels I'm jumping through, almost all of them, are undead. So I can absolutely destroy those with clicks. because it, even though it says it increases the champion's damage against undead, it increases all damage against undead. And then I get to a non-undead level at 686, and I stop. She stops the car and lets Briv stack up. So that's why I use Excavating History. It's really reliable for me because I specifically am using Neris as a break. You can use other champions as your break. It just depends on who you have, and then that determines where you're going to go for your gem farm. But before you start doing this type of really in-depth, really requires a lot of knowledge to tweak out type of stuff, you just do it on Mad Wizard because it's fast. No Mercy Nerd completed all blessings. Well, all blessings favor that. Say all blessings. What is my next step? Unlock the rest of the patron perks, which are over halfway done, or collect all the heroes. Yeah, this isn't necessarily a thing that you have to do one at a time. You should be working on this progress all the time. Just a little bit at a time all the time, right? Patron perks are solid. I will say you're going to have have a lot of power to get all of them. On my new player account, I am maxed through. I'm maxed through tier 5 for the 3 patrons I have so far. I don't have Zariel yet. I don't have enough champions to unlock Zariel yet. But once I have Zariel, she'll be maxed through 5 as well. And I'm dabbling into 6 and 7. And at that point, for me to get to even on my main account, look, even on this account, I don't think I have Strahd maxed. Nope. Because it takes doing some very, very high level stuff, and I just haven't grounded out. There's a point where you want to grab power where it makes sense based off the amount of effort that it's putting in, and then there's other things you could be doing. So like when you're in the mid game, if you've got all the blessings in all the... Oh, wow, that was nice. If you've got all the blessings in all the places, that's great. At that point, yeah, you're going to work on perks when you can. You're going to work on your Modron core, like leveling it up, but also then piping it out. Your first goal should be getting everything to full purple flow. That's full epic. And then you're going to work on supercharging it after that. But supercharging is more of a long-term thing. You're going to work on legendaries, like doing Trials of Mount Tiamat every week and upgrading your legendaries. Like making legendaries from Trials of Mount Tiamat rewards and then upgrading them. Upgrading them requires deep runs in all the various campaigns for favor. Like there's things that are going to take time. They're going to take a lot of your time up, and you don't necessarily have to race towards any one goal. Just as long as you are making forward progress in all of these places, because they all are needed to get you the power that's going to let you just really destroy all the content. And the patron stuff, like why bang your head against patron stuff trying to get all the patron variants done if you don't have your Modron core yet or some legendaries, because those things are going to make it so much easier to do the patron stuff, right? So yeah. And there's, maybe gem farming in your downtime. There's all kinds of stuff that you need to be doing around there, and it doesn't necessarily have. And collecting heroes can be based off natural time gates and running regular time gates occasionally. Like every time you get 6 pieces, go pick up a new champion. Up to a certain point, there's going to be some champions that maybe it's like, well, I don't need those right now. I'm to the point where the ones that are left, I can just pick up through natural time gates eventually, take your actual time gate pieces you're earning, and start trying to get full epic gear on the champions that you're using a lot. So full epic is another thing in there. And you do time gates, combination of time gates and opening patron chests to do that, right? So everything gets real muddled around mid-game. Early game, there's a very clear progression path to me. I've mapped it out in my new player reference, and I'll be updating that soon based off my experience on my most recent run. But once you get into the mid-game, things just start branching out, and you start making instead of moving in a kind of a line, you start creating this depth of progress and moving everything kind of up all at once instead of focusing on any one thing. Yeah, we didn't have enough time for me to show how this works. Well, we kind of will. We're going to get it up to 686 here in a moment, folks. And then Oh no. I have the wrong loadout in. So this is probably screwed up. There we go. So you get here, you would normally get here and then see suddenly everything starts stacking up because these are beasts and not undead. So I can't kill them. They got E210 health. My damage, I know the bud says it's real high, but I switched cores. So my damage is now at like E203. I know this from setting this up before. And it's going to take getting all 100 enemies, max enemies out on the screen to start ramping up damage from Dragonbait and Shandy. Shandy's going to ramp up at 100. Dragonbait's going to continue ramping up as enemy powering up appears here. There we go. Every time it powers up, he gives more of a buff. And eventually we're going to clear this. And the target is for him not to clear it until he's got like 4,500 stacks. Wow, it worked. So I've got over the 45... The 4,500 is a number specific to my account and where I'm going. I want to be clear. Oh, yeah. Well, we got to do because I have it at 687. And then it's going to reset. Normally, he would have jumped again because he would still had Steelbone stacks, which would have triggered the reset, and we'd be back to the beginning. Hold on. Let's see if I can just... Nope. Nope. Any day now. No. No, I don't have enough damage to clear this at the moment. They gotta keep coming. But this is how automated Briv gem farming works. Not exactly like this. Again, it would have triggered on 686 when we finished, and then he would jump all the way back there again. And we don't have enough time for me to demonstrate that, but there's a lot of tweaking. You can join me on my streams over at twitch.tv/Gaarawarr. Mondays and Wednesdays are when I usually stream Idle Champions. Again, this Monday I won't because the game's going to be down, but Wednesday I will again. Also, for Briv gem farming, hit up Lediath's stream, Lediath, on Twitch. They do a lot of helping people with that as well. Last question, maybe definitely not. What would be some other break champions for a Briv farm? Anybody that has a certain favored foe that might help you get there. There's a lot of champions with favored foe mechanics now. Azaka is a one that might be a little different because she has a damage boost based off whether you're inside or outside. That can do it too. So you really have to look at how champions function and how their buffs function. And if it's triggered off enemy types or types of zones, they can potentially be used as a break. Yeah. Thanks for hanging out today. The song we're going out on... Shandy, Hero of Baldur's Gate. Have a great weekend. I am streaming on my channel. No more streams for this weekend. They'll be back on Monday at noon. I am streaming on my channel in about an hour after I grab some lunch. You can come hang out with me there. We're playing some For the King, the original For the King. Little D&D style action. Bye, everybody.
Fill your cups with mead or wine and go top off your ale. Now it's time to gather close to hear this halfling's tale. Battling dragons, skeletons, and riding on a whale. Hunting down the creatures that make other heroes pale. Shot the dragon orb out of a deadly frost giant's hand. Freeing all the dragons out from under his command. She's Shandy, the hero of Baldur's Gate. She's Shandy, the savior of all. She's fleet of foot, quick of hand, with eagle eyes she spies, always taking down evil monsters 20 times her size. She's Shandy, the hero of Baldur's Gate. Battled 50 demons, then she banished 50 more. Just an arrow from her bow can kill 1,000 orcs. You want this woman on your side whenever you go to war. Her enemies will never know just what she has in store. Like the time she knocked the teeth out of a bugbear's snout, or when she sent 100 soldiers scrambling in a rout. She's Shandy, the hero of Baldur's Gate. She's Shandy, the savior of all. She is great of foot, quick of hand, with eagle eyes she spies, always taking down evil monsters 20 times her size. She's Shandy, the hero of Baldur's Gate. She's Shandy, the savior of all. She's great of fun, quick of hand, with eagle eyes she spies, always taking down evil monsters 20 times her size. She's Shandy, the hero of Baldur's Gate.